Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Paranormal Zone. This is your co-host, Tom Spitalere. Melody's with me this week again. Bob's still out on secret investigation work. This is a show that talks about what's normal, abnormal through the eyes of psychics, mediums, ufologists, cryptozoologists, and, of course, the paranormal. And today I'd like to welcome this great guy all the way from Portsmouth, not Portsmouth, England, not Portsmouth, Oregon, but Portsmouth, New Hampshire area. So welcome, Wolf. How are we doing today?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. Melody, how are you doing today, my favorite co-host?
I am excellent. Thank you so much.
Oh, good. See, we're all having a great day, aren't we?
Beautiful.
Indeed.
Melody, you had a great readings today and everything else?
Oh, yeah. I was very, very busy. A lot of folks came out to say hello today, so it was wonderful.
All right. That's good. Wolf, you've been busy too, right?
Oh, yeah. All the time. Always giving advice. That's what I do.
Well, that's good. It's always great to give advice. Advice works nicely. And you give a lot of advice, don't you?
Yeah, I tend to. It depends on the reading and where it's going and what information people are looking for, and also what information they're receptive to. Because a lot of the times you could tell someone something is blue, and they will tell you that it's red and it's blue.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not my job to make the horse drink. I'm just supposed to get it to the water.
Correct. That's a good analogy. So, what is your background and your specialty?
So I am a psychic. I do tarot readings. I do energy readings. I'm also a member of a paranormal group, Talking About Paranormal. I used to do it a lot more, but on occasion we do Facebook Lives where we do free readings, just to kind of help guide people who need a little bit of direction.
Yeah, we all need a little direction once in a while. I think, Melody, you could agree to that. We all need direction.
Absolutely.
So you help people. So what was one of those cases that you did where you helped somebody that you can talk about?
Well, I'll just talk about, daily occurrences.
Okay.
So, I have a thing, I jokingly call it my curse, but it's, people I don't know will come up to me and they will tell me things, as if, we're long-lost friends or something. It happens a lot. And, also, it's people feel comfortable asking me to show them how to do things too. One time I was at the doctor getting my I needed a X-ray from my spine, and I was just sitting there, and this lady was on her phone, and I was texting, and I put my phone away, and then she's on the other side of the room. She's not near me, right? She gets up, walks over to me, and she's like, "You seem like you're really good at that. Can you help me trying to get a message from my daughter?" I'm like, "Okay." So I basically teach her how to use her phone because I don't know why she didn't understand. She was older, right? But she was trying to get pictures of her grandchild from her daughter or whatever. And then, so she was telling me the whole story about her daughter, the granddaughter, where they live, all this and that. And I'm just trying to like show her how to use her phone, right? And when we finished up, she's like, wow, you're so good at explaining things. You really should teach people how to do this. So I'm like, there's people around that teach people how to do that stuff. That's not my gig. But, I always find it funny, like complete strangers. So another quick story. So I was in New York for my friend's bachelor party, right? And it was just me, him, his current wife, and her bridesmaid. That's it, the four of us. And we're walking in Times Square, and there's people who go around, and they're like, "Oh, do you want to take a picture?" And usually that's like you pay them for that. Mm-hmm. This guy was going around with a shirt that said "free hugs," so I gave him a hug, and then he's like, "Do you want to take a picture?" And then we took a picture, and he's like, "Yeah, that'll be like $5 or whatever." So we paid him, and then he proceeds to tell me everything, like why he goes and does these pictures, why he's in New York. So he had come to New York to be an actor, and somehow went awry from there. And he does this thing every day to get pictures with people to get money, so that he goes to the strip club at the end of the day and spends all his money, and he can't get out of that cycle. And he's just telling me the whole story about how he came here from another state looking for this, and he got addicted to going to the strip clubs. Like, oh, maybe you should try not doing that for a day just to see how you do. Because it clearly is an addiction, right? It's not just some guy who likes to go to the strip club.
Right.
But, like, he doesn't need to tell me anything. He could have just said, "You want to take a picture? Okay, $5. Okay, thank you, bye." But he proceeds to tell me his whole life story. And it was like, I'm paraphrasing, it was like 25 minutes of this guy talking to me.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So that's one of those abilities that you have. So you do tarot cards, you do readings. Now, have you ever actually come across in the spirit world or the paranormal anything?
Yeah, so me and my dad, we used to live in a haunted place. And it was a lot of weird things were happening. Like, it started out really small. So, like, the Venetian blinds, they have that little cord that you pull. Well, in the bathroom, there was a small window, right? And it was closed, and there's no breeze, right? In the bathroom in the middle of the house, right? So my dad came to me and he was like, "Tell me you did that." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Come here." So he brought me into the bathroom, and the cord for the blinds, usually it hangs way below the windowsill, right? It's a long cord. So it was up over the shower rod. And I didn't do it, and he didn't do it. That was like a small thing, right? And then it turned into cabinets being open. A chair was put on the table. And I, in this place, my bedroom was in the basement. Mm-hmm. And it was like a boiler room type thing. Old New England home kind of style, like almost dirt floor, but not really. And there was a kid down there that I would see peeking from behind the boiler.
Yeah.
I would see him from time to time. And my dad he started really trying to figure out what was going on. So he started taking pictures all the time. And he would catch a lot of orbs, and he caught a picture of the kid's face in an orb. And it got, because when you're doing things, you don't know what you're doing, right? So, because my dad he's just doing it because he's trying to figure it out. But that ramps up activity.
Yeah.
Like, when you're investigating things, it like rejuvenates them and gives them energy and attention, and they start to do more and more and more and more. So it got like I ended up moving out not because of that, but just life, and it turned into a paranormal team came to my dad's house to investigate 2 different ones, and the first one told him that there was poltergeist and evil spirits and yada yada, but those people did not know a thing about what they're talking about. The second group came and told him there was a lady, a psychic that came, and there was an angry lady, and I saw her too. She was very jealous of any woman that came in the house because it was her house, right? No other woman was supposed to be there. She was still like scratching. And that there was a child downstairs. So that one actually, that group knew what they were talking about, and they told him to get the house blessed. So he ended up trying to get a priest to come, and none of the priests would come. No. So he ended up going to a Catholic priest who would come. And he was the only one. Like, all the other ones said no. And because we're Baptist, right? But the Catholic one came and blessed the house and pretty much let the spirits out. Open the window to give them a direction and give the blessings and all this and that. And pretty much activity stopped after that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it was interesting though how some of the other ones just flat out refused to help.
Oh, that can happen. And boy, can that happen. Melody, you have any questions?
Not so far. I just find it all really interesting. I'm just kind of taking it all in.
All righty. So, is your dad's house at peace now, hopefully?
He doesn't live there anymore, but I'm assuming that it is. It calmed down and everything, but he just didn't want to be there anymore, so he eventually ended up moving out.
Oh, okay. Well, that happens, too. Especially up on the old town areas. I mean, we're in New England. That's what we are. We're new to England. But we're still old. We live in the oldest part of the country, the East Coast.
Yeah.
And wherever you go, there's going to always be something. Most of your restaurants, older buildings that restaurants are in, hotels, all have some type of activity running around. So where do you now? So we get do you have any beliefs in UFOs or anything like that? Have you ever seen anything like that?
Yeah, I've had a few different experiences through the years with extra dimensional things. I don't know how to really, because I don't like saying UFO because they're not unidentified. We know that they're not from here.
Right, exactly.
But
or UAB. UAB is worse than UFO.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. So what happened with you?
So I used to live near Pease when I was younger. And we were all hanging out at the park, and it was dusk, so it was just starting to go down. And we would see the jets take off every now and then, like routinely, right? They're just kind of doing their flight path or whatever. And this is before they reopened it for commercial travel. So it was still just like the president would come in there or whoever,
right?
Really for going anywhere. It was just like people would come in, like diplomats, and then they would leave. So, one day we were just hanging out, and there's a couple of jets doing their pass, and then they all leave like they normally do, and it like looked like a flare in the air. It was like a vertical line, and I was like, "What is that?" And it just looked like it was on fire, like a line in the air on fire. And then the fire part went away, but the line was still there. And it was kind of like when you're looking like a hot pavement or something and you see like the little distortions in the air. Except this distortion wasn't moving. It was a solid distortion, but you could see it. Like it was out of place. So it looked like there was just like a slice in the air. And one of the jets came back and one went towards it and didn't come out the other side. And after that happened, the other jets took off really fast. And we sat there for probably like 15, 20, 25 minutes trying to like watching like what was going to happen. And like nothing. And the line stayed there for a very, very long time. Like I said, probably like 15, 20 minutes, the line stayed there. And then it took like a good 5 or 10 minutes. And it was like, not that it was shrinking, but it was like closing. But top to bottom was like coming towards each other. But it's hard to explain. It wasn't coming towards each other, but the like visual distortion you could see was going away. And it took a long time. And then when it was all gone, you could still see this very small line. But you would only see it if you were looking at it before, right? Because like if you weren't looking at it, there's no way you would see that. It's kind of like in the Predator movie, when you see the Predator, if you're looking at it and it moves, then you see it. But if you didn't see it move, you would never see it. So that was one of the weirdest ones for me, like because that is like so unexplained. Like I like checked the news a lot after that to try to see if anyone was talking about it, and nothing. And this is before the internet was like huge, right?
Right.
So there wasn't a lot of like shared information. A lot of people with their phones and nothing like that. Like we couldn't videotape because we didn't have phones. It was just I saw it, and it was the strangest thing. I've never seen anything like that before or since.
Right. No, that is interesting. That is really interesting. So when you read cards, what type of cards do you usually read?
I have a ton of different types of decks, depending on... I usually try to go off of the other person's type of energy that I get from them. I do a lot of shadow work, shadow work is like, the way I describe it is like a punch in the gut, right? So, a lot of the times, light work readers, they're telling you the positive things. You're doing this is great, keep doing that. You should look at this a little bit more, but this is good, yada, yada, yada. And my approach is more like, okay, you're doing this wrong, stop doing this. This is what you need to change. You're not going to get to where you need to be because you're not doing this, and this. And it's like, it forces you to look at yourself and reanalyze and because a lot of people's problems are from themselves. A lot of people like to blame external things, but a lot of it is themselves. A lot of the choices they make, a lot of choices they don't make, the way they view things, like something as simple as something someone said. If you choose to look at that from a negative perspective, then that's your choice, and you're causing that negativity, and that might not have been the other person's intent.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of down and dirty, like not so pretty and happy. It's just like more direct, and you can't fix something by hearing positive things all the time.
No, you can't. You can try, but it doesn't. Most of the time, it won't work.
Yeah, and there's a place for both, right? Like, because depending on the person that you're reading, right? Like, I might be a little more gentle because I can tell a bit off of their energy if they're more fragile, and they might not hear it right if you're too heavy-handed.
No, that makes all the sense in the world, actually. So
that's why it's interesting to get us together for readings, Wolf and I, because I work on the light side and he works more on the shadow side. So it's really, really interesting to see the different interpretations in the cards that we get.
Oh, that's a good question for both of you. Without reading anybody, could you pull a card and not read people, because we want to keep everything private with, stuff, but interpret? You said he interprets a card differently. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so like he was saying, there's a difference between the shadow work and the light work because I'm a Reiki master. I work a lot within the light. So when I do readings, kind of like he said, I'm going to be more like, oh, well, you're doing this really well. You kind of need to work on this. And some of this needs a little bit of intention. But other than that, things are looking pretty good as to where Wolf is going to be no holds barred. Not that that's a bad thing, but he's going to be like, look, stop being dumb, stop making poor choices, and life will get better. But if you don't, that's on you because you're making all these choices. So it's just really, really interesting to kind of see when we team up. Sometimes we get together as a team because our team leader of Dark Mirror Paranormal also does readings. We'll get together, all three of us, and we'll do live readings on Facebook once in a while. And it's kind of interesting to see the difference in energies. And that's how people can also view us as a group because I'm more the light worker. So I go in and I feel out the energies and I kind of see kind of what we're working with. And then if things are a little bit on the darker side, that's when I kind of take a back seat and I let them go forward. But it's really interesting as you see the dynamic of all of our personalities coming together as one and working as a team to kind of like help people through their readings and things. It's a really cool experience.
Now, I haven't met the third person or talked to the third person yet, but let me see if I got this right. So, Melody, you're more laid back, quiet, calm, and collective, and Wolf is more outgoing, spirited, and is that about right?
Yeah, but no. If anybody asks, I'm kind of like the spunky, outgoing one. I'm going to be like, hey, what's up? How's it going? Blah, blah, blah. It's to where those two are going to be more like reserved and laid back. But when it comes to like magic, as far as like doing the cards and stuff, that's when they're more open and flamboyant as to where like I'm more cool and collected.
Got it. Because I was just joking about the flamboyant, outgoing thing. I get a little laugh going today, a little bit. Get a little comedy on today.
That one of the things is, like Mel said, she is more bubbly, and easier to talk to, I think. And I'm a little bit more stoic, and when I talk, it's for a reason. I don't do a lot of extra wording. I've just never done that. Like a whole bunch of fluff is not my thing. Nothing wrong with that. That's just not me.
Right, you're straight to the point. And that's that. No, there's nothing wrong with
one of the things that's kind of important to understand is that it's not so much that we read cards different. We could have the same cards and have the same message, right? But the way it is interpreted is different. So, for example, the Tower card, right? That is a catastrophic event, right? But it doesn't really mean, like, that's what the Tower is. It's a catastrophic event.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that, like, you're going to die, someone's going to die, something. It just means that something is going to happen. It's coming. It's unavoidable. There's nothing you can do to stop it. And you just need to, bear down and be ready for it. That's how I would say it. Mel would say it completely different.
Yeah, I kind of say, the good thing about the house coming to a collapse and totally crumbling is you have nowhere to go but up from there. You can decide, hey, my foundation before wasn't that great, so I'm going to redo my foundation. Or, hey, I had leaky windows, so I'm going to have brand new windows. So while, yes, the tower can be like a sad and difficult, hard moment, the great thing is from there, you get to be the architect and you get to decide how to rebuild.
Got it. That's an interesting, that is a very interesting take on that card. Two different views, pretty close to the same, just a little different.
Right. It's just on the delivery.
Yeah. No, and it is,
It's also it's the delivery, but it's also what you pick up from the person. Because sometimes the way Mel would say the same thing to somebody isn't going to work. Mm-hmm. And then the way I tell them, they go, oh, okay, yep, I get it. And it's just that simple. It's just like, finding the right match for you. It's sometimes it's not like you can go to different readers in the week, right? Or even in the same day, ask the same question and get 15 different answers. Right. Now, you're going to get some that are full of crap because they're just there are people who do this that have no idea what they're doing and they're just talking. Right. And that kind of leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths for this kind of work. Then you're going to get like 4 that are going to be exactly the same. Mm-hmm. And those 4 usually are people who they're doing it right. They understand what they're doing, but they are more, I memorized the meanings of the cards people. And so you're going to get exactly the same reading because they're just telling you what each card means, right? Then you're going to get other people who interpret the cards, meaning that they see something in the card this time that the next time they pull that same card for someone else, they're going to see something different. And that's where your intuitive part takes over because, it could be the 5 of Cups. And for one person, the 5 of Cups can be, okay, you're going to have a really bad breakup. There's a lot of negative emotion in these cards. Or another person, 5 of Cups. Okay, so there's 3 people that are going to be leaving you, but the 2 left standing, that's you and the other person that's important in your life. Those are the 2 connections that you need to make. So, it's a matter of where and when you're pulling these cards and what you're getting from them. It's not so much, this card means this, period.
Interesting. This has been a very interesting evening so far. That's for sure. Now, you guys, how long have you been investigating for, roughly?
I would say as the team, probably 4 years, but the team's main objective isn't for us specifically to go do investigations. We do that, but that's not our motive. Our thing is more, we want to be I guess you would say, if people who are old enough remember phone books, right? We want to be like that paranormal phone book where you come to us with a problem and we have connections where, okay, you're in Glasgow, Scotland. Okay, we have a team out there that we can connect you with, or you're in Italy. Okay, we have some people there. Like, that's what our goal is to be able to be like a hub, so that we can help people more than just like right here.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes sense. There's not many people that do that either. I have to give you guys kudos for that, as far as, bringing in another team when you get the call. That says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's not about popularity or credit or any of that. It's about helping people.
Well, that's all it really needs to be. It's about helping people.
Exactly. We're not really a team that likes to compete with others. We like to team build as opposed to, this team has this many stars and this team has this many stars. Well, in our eyes, that doesn't necessarily matter. Yes, it's credible to a point, but also people's different relationships and interpretations of things can be different. So we like to bring together the paranormal as a whole as opposed to going out there and trying to compete. Again, we do go out as a team once in a while. Not so much lately just because everybody's had their own lives, their own stuff going on. But we do like to be, the people that you come to be like, all right, can you give me a certain direction for where I'm at?
Right. Well, that makes sense. That does make a lot of sense. And that's something new. You don't hear that among teams anymore. You do not. That's like old school that died, and you're resurrecting it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't need to be a competition, right?
No, you're right about that.
Nope.
We're all only going to be here for so long. We might as well help each other.
Yeah, I know. When you think of how old Earth is and how long we stick around for,
yeah,
it's a piece of paper.
Right.
In the reality.
I find it, I'm just going to throw out some names just for viewers, right? How cool would it be if Taps worked with Zach Baggins, right? That would just be a cool moment. Whether or not you want to believe one or the other doesn't matter. If they got together and did something to help somebody, that would be cool.
Right. No, I agree to that. And hopefully one day it will happen.
That would be awesome.
That would be cool, for sure. Some of the other stuff that I think we discussed the last time, we had a ghost in our machine, and it kind of destroyed everything. Did we talk about interdimensional creatures and stuff? Did we get into that with you? Do you remember?
I think we were running out of time, but we were about to.
Oh, okay. So let's start with interdimensional creatures. Do you believe Bigfoot? That seems to be the big one right now, is an interdimensional creature, from what you know? Yeah,
so I've been doing a lot of researching and a lot of, story collecting, right? Because I watch a lot of these documentaries and these other podcasts about the people who specify in this stuff. And there is just so much to there's no way you can not believe it. Right? And I feel like if there's anything to not believe, it is nothing, right? Because everything has some kind of truth to it. And for someone to say, yeah, I believe in aliens, but I don't believe in Bigfoot. Or, I believe in Bigfoot, but I don't believe in aliens. Or I believe in aliens, I don't believe in spirits. Oh, I believe in spirits, but I don't believe in... It's like, how can you pick one?
Right.
And be like, yeah, this is more credible than this.
I actually, here's a better one for you. I actually know somebody who believes in UFOs, but doesn't believe in aliens.
What?
Yeah.
How?
So.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I said all along. Yeah, what?
That just made my brain hurt.
The plausible thing I guess they could try to say is that they're unidentified flying objects, but there are crafts or something. But
someone's going to be flying those things.
That's like saying this is possible, maybe, sort of, but I don't believe it. It's a sentence that doesn't make sense.
Right, exactly. No, it made no sense to me at all when I first heard that. I'm like, what? Repeat? Hit stop, rewind, repeat?
That's just
For real.
it's illogical pathway thinking. But one of the areas that I have heard a lot of these things happening is the Midwest, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where a lot of these creatures seem to be. That's not where they only are, but there's a lot more unexplored land in those areas, right? Because that's where natives got pushed to, and they kept getting pushed and kept getting pushed. So expansion in those areas didn't really happen like it did in New England. Right? Like a lot of New England is covered. Right? There's not a whole lot of unpathed land here, right?
Right.
But you go to Alabama or Tennessee, there's a lot of area that is just wood. And that's where there's a couple different theories. There's the theories that they live in the forests and they're just so heightened that people can't get near them, right? The other one is interdimensional beings, which is where a lot of the theories are going, because a lot of the times when they're talking about Bigfoot or Dogman or any others, they talk about them phasing in and out of our reality a lot.
Right.
So you'll see like them sort of in our world, but not fully. Like you can see them, but they're kind of see-through, or you can start to see them come in and go out. Yeah, that is like a hour conversation in itself when you start to get into that stuff. But
that's really interesting. I've never heard that before.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's always interesting because you got like the flap areas, like my friend Paulino, God rest his soul, would call them. We call them, other people call them triangles. You have Bigfoot, UFO, Birdman, Paranormal, and everything under the sun, Native American. And they all seem to like coexist with one another.
Yeah. So they'll I forget. I want to say it was Alabama, but I could be wrong. It was somewhere Midwest. There was a police officer and his friend who was also a police officer. They were out there camping, and they had an experience. And their names escape me right now. But so the long and short of it is that 2 dogmen attacked their camp, and they escaped narrowly, right? And as they were leaving, they got to the vehicle and they were driving away. And when they turned the headlights on, they saw Bigfoot. And then 2 dogmen got on the ground. And they said it was almost as if the Bigfoot was leading the dogmen, as if like, a hunter with his hounds kind of a thing.
Right.
And that is like that opened up a whole nother world of like what maybe, right? Like if that is true, like not that he's lying, I'm saying, but if that is actually what was going on, that's another wild way to look at it, is like Bigfoot controls dogmen.
Yes.
And that's just a wild
Well, there's so much.
Mind blown.
Yeah, mine's too. There's so much out there that we'll never know all the answers. I mean,
no. The problem is that people are skeptical, which is okay. That's totally fine. But like some of the stuff that people are skeptical about, I just don't understand.
Right.
Like,
it's hard to understand some of the skepticism out there. It really is.
Yeah.
And
I'm not one to ever knock anybody for what they believe or what they don't believe. I don't understand where their lines exist.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I mean, in order to solve the big mystery, okay, we don't have the USS Enterprise anymore, okay?
No.
So we don't have Kirk and Spock and all the other ones. There've been so many of them now, I can't keep track of them, but we'll just use Kirk and Spock for the sense of this. We don't have Captain Kirk and Spock flying around the USS Enterprise going from universe to universe, trying to unsolve mysteries to save the universe from self-destruction. The only way we're going to do that is by all working together. Did you see the report this week that they might have found another planet in our solar system that might have life on it?
No.
Okay, we'll save that
No,
for
I
another-
haven't heard that.
About other planets, not in our solar system, but that have everything that should have life on it. But I did not hear about one in our
I guess
solar
there's
system.
a ninth planet. No. There's another planet they just recently found. I saw it somewhere, and it was a credible source. It wasn't one of those, because you know how credible some Facebook pages are.
Oh, yeah, well, Facebook is full of nonsense. All social media is full of nonsense.
So, I mean, but I did see and I forgot what page it was on, but it was a credible report that the scientists in America had found another planet that could sustain life, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that is always a thing that they're looking for, and, if they find it, that puts a lot of weight on other beliefs, right? And I feel that it's good to try to disprove, right? Like, we all want to believe everything. Or not everybody, but I do. I want to believe everything. But you need those people who don't to kind of make things they cannot disprove that much stronger.
Right. And I mean, as far as, we got in southeastern Massachusetts, we have the beautiful Bridgewater Triangle. We have all those around here. But we also, what is the UFO capital of the world? You ask any ufologist, they're going to probably say, where that Roswell, okay? Mm-hmm. You ask people who do a lot of research into the field that are not just ufologists, they're paranormalists, they're Bigfoot, they're cryptids, and they're going to say, Rockingham County, New Hampshire. Yeah. Because of all the stuff that is flying over Pease Air Force Base, and you've probably seen a ton of it through the years.
I've seen a lot of weird things. We used to go to the beach. It was Rye Beach, and it was a smaller beach at Rye. There's two. There's a big one and a small one. And me and my friends, we used to just go there and hang out at night. Teenagers, right?
Nothing wrong with that. I've done that. We've all done that.
We weren't up to nothing. We were just hanging out.
Right.
We used to lay on the beach and just look at the stars and just kind of hang out. Well, for like a 4-month period, we would probably go there like every other weekend, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And every single time we would watch, and it would be so weird. We would be staring at the stars, just kind of chilling, and all of a sudden, one would dart off in one direction and go back the other way.
Oh, interesting.
We were like, what the hell? And we saw it probably 20 times.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't the same one. It was always a different one.
Right.
And one time we saw four at once.
Wow.
And so they were hiding in plain sight, doing whatever, I don't know. But, if we weren't laying there watching the stars, you would never have seen it.
Right.
It's so weird. It's hard to explain.
No, it is. And a couple of weeks ago, the last show we got aired before the Ghost in the Machine. We had Steve Fermani on, who's a ufologist, a former director of New England for MUFON. And I was telling him, and I'm going to tell you this, you know where the marshes are over Route 1A in Rye, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're driving over the marshes. We're going to the BBC in Portsmouth, taking the back roads, taking our time. Yeah. There was 3 of us in the car, and this thing flew over my old car. Now, if I could have stopped and stood up, if it had one of those windows there, what are they called? That's over your head. It had one of those.
Oh, like a sunroof.
Sunroof, yeah. That's it, sunroof. And I could lift the sunroof up and stick out. You could touch it. It was huge. It had lights underneath it. It went over the marshes to the tree line, went over the tree line, and then dropped. Now, if something that big dropped, I hate to tell you what a loud boom that would make.
Yeah.
One of the people in the car told me it was a plane, which made no sense, because if a plane flew that low, my car would have ended up flipping over just from the
the wind swept.
The wind swept, right.
Definitely moved the vehicle.
And then another one said, no, it probably wasn't that. It was probably our new favorite thing to talk about in the UFO world. If you can't come up with it, it's got to be a drone. I've never seen a drone that big in my life. And why you want to make a drone that big would make no sense to me.
That's what I mean when I say people want to believe things that make no sense, but not believe. Right? So they would rather believe that a plane was on top of you and you didn't know it, or
right.
a giant drone was on top of you and you didn't know it, than a UFO.
Right. This thing was loaded with lights underneath it, red, yellow, green, blue. It was all lit up with little lights. I'm like, are you kidding me? A drone. Boy,
that's crazy.
That's nuts. I know what I saw that
night. Disbelief belief is what I call it. So, like, for them to not believe in this, they have to come up with some crazy thing to believe instead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some real crazy thing. No, it's just interesting. It really is when you start, thinking about things. And we got a big event coming up in 2 weeks. We're going to have a round table at the Sandown Meeting House. It's open free to the public. There's a vendor donation of $20, but the public is free. And people, if they want to make a donation at the door, all donations will go help the local nonprofits out. They're more than welcome to. But that night, we plan on having a ufologist, a psychic, and a few other people show up, where you can go talk to people in the field. And then we're going to have a round table, and then we're going to do a ghost hunt of the Sandown Meeting House. So if you're around, Wolf, you want to come on down, just come on down.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
That's not that far from you, and it's in the area of the Sandown Triangle, which I'll explain that night to the public that comes. And the UFO sighting that I actually saw there in that area.
Send me the details, and I'll probably make it out to it.
Yeah, it'll be a fun time. Make sure you friend me up on Facebook, because I don't think you, or did you yet? Oh, you're not.
I don't think I have yet, but I will do that.
Okay, yeah. And then I'll send you those details. But that's going to be a fun evening. That's being put on by the Paranormal Zone, Essex County, and New England UFO Research, which is Bob's group. So it's going to be a fun night. It's going to be a fun day. Starts at 4 o'clock. And we'll go from there. But what I'm looking forward to is what is really going on out there, because, I mean, you see all these things, you hear all these things. What's going to be, what do you think the end result of all this is going to be? UFO, Bigfoot sightings, the paranormal's picking up again.
if I'm being honest, I don't think it is going to be like a event. There's nothing happening. Like, it's not like a lot of people are like, oh, the end of the world. Or
No, I didn't think that at all. That's not what I was thinking.
What is happening is that a lot of these things were always happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been, since we've been, they've been. They've probably before. And I think that because everybody has phones, everybody is always ready to film something, it's just that there's more information available to anyone who wants to look for it, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's harder now to hide things.
Right.
But it's at the same time, it's also a little bit easier too. Mm-hmm. Like the thing that happened in Florida, right? People have footage of it happening in the mall, and people still don't want to believe it.
Right.
And they want to believe the cover-up story of, 5,000 police came because kids were fighting. Get out of here. You can see, if you look at the evidence that's right there,
right,
and you choose not to see it, okay.
So what do you think happened in Florida with that? What's your opinion on that? Or not your opinion, your education on that?
So the coordinates of the mall, if you reverse them, is Antarctica. So fat fingered the wrong coordinates and they popped into the mall. That's what I think.
Oh, okay.
Because they're supposed to be somewhere in the middle of Antarctica instead. And it happened so quick and the response was so fast that it seems like people were... there was like a response team to come and help them get to where they were supposed to go.
Got it.
That's how it appears. And a lot of the evidence points that way. But, you can choose to be a critical thinker, or you can just eat what they're feeding you.
Right. And that's the thing about paranormal, metaphysical ufologists and cryptozoologists. We don't drink the Kool-Aid, I guess would be the best way to put it. The good ones in the field think ahead. Melody, you were going to say something.
No, I was just hanging out. I'm just listening.
You have anything else you want to say today?
Just thank you so much, Will, for all the information you've offered us tonight. I think it's all really amazing, and sharing your experiences with us and everything. It's really been a pleasure to have you on.
Appreciate it. I find that, if you're more open to possibilities is when you start to find answers. But if you close off to a possibility is when you start to not receive answers anymore.
Right. And that's why we always have to keep ourselves open to find those answers. Yeah.
It's like, people could not understand how Ed and Lorraine Warren, right? It's very devout people still doing this kind of work. And they couldn't understand how you can be one and the other at the same time. Because a lot of people who believe in God, that's it. Nothing else can exist.
Right.
But that makes absolutely no sense.
No.
No sense at all. Right? To believe that God is real, the devil's real, demons are real, spirits are not.
Yeah.
Except the Holy Spirit is a thing.
Right.
It just blows my mind I never understood how people can believe and not. I just don't get it.
No, it's a real interesting look on things. You know, people tell me all the time, and I imagine Melody runs, well, if she's not now, we'll be running into these type of educated people, as I like to refer to them as educated people. Only a minister can do a clearing. Only a priest can do a clearing. Only a priest can handle a demon. Well, I don't think Ed and Lorraine Warren were nuns and priests last time I checked.
No, he was a demonologist.
Right, but that's about it. And my friend Carl Johnson, who's a demonologist, you know, he's a demonologist. He's not a priest. So, I mean...
The thing is, a lot of the people who... excuse me. A lot of people who claim religion and believe, they don't actually read read this stuff, because in the Bible it tells you that if two or more gather, God will be there. So you don't need to go to church. That's a choice.
Right.
And Jesus came and gave man the rights to defend themselves against demons. He went around teaching it to priests and to people. Now, what ended up happening is, you know, the Vatican and all those other people, they kind of like put it on their lock and key, like, only we can do this. But it's not true.
No.
Yeah.
No.
If you want to believe that, right, if you want to believe in God and all that other stuff, you have to believe in what it says. That we're all God's children. We're all made in his image. That means every single one of us can do the same thing.
That is correct. Now, Melody, have you ever crossed one of those people at your public readings?
All the time.
And how do you handle that?
I just say, hey, you know, whatever you choose to believe is fine. But if you're going to believe it with your whole heart, then you should probably look at all the readings and make sure, you know, you have the education under your belt. So when other people go to rebuke you or to talk about it, you know exactly what it is you're saying. But I also tell people, you know, I'm not here to judge. Whatever makes you feel good at the end of the day and helps you be able to look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I'm a good human because I have such and such, you know, belief systems and I live such and such a life, then good for you. I'm not here to tell you one way or the other what to believe. I'm just here to tell you should probably be educated about it so that you're ready to have a conversation.
Well, that's a good answer. That is an excellent answer. And usually I'll run across them at library talks and stuff, and they'll ask me, well, why wouldn't you, what do you use for cleansing? No, it doesn't matter what, it depends upon what house you go to. If you have somebody,
right.
That's an atheist, holy water's not going to work. I'll throw that out the window.
Right.
If you have somebody that's a Christian, holy water will work just fine if they believe. You have a Native American or someone who believes in land-based gods, holy water is not going to work. Sage is going to work, or some type of mixture of stuff to burn.
Right.
It's all what you believe.
Yeah, it's that, and it's also what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it is a demon, holy water is a good thing. Sage is probably not a good thing.
Right. Correct.
If it's Native American spirits or Native American curses, you know, then again, holy water is not going to do it.
Nope.
Sometimes sage won't even do it. It depends on what it is. Sometimes you have to have like a medicine doctor come.
Right.
It all depends. It all depends on what it is.
Yes.
And who it is.
I tell people all the time, no case is the same.
Nope.
No cleansing you do, Melody, is the same. No cleansing, Wolf, you do is. Everybody we talk to is different. Everybody's lives are different.
And a lot of the time, at least in my experience, it's better to just try to get to a place of coexistence than trying to remove things.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I usually do, unless it's that bad. And if we do find a haunted object or something, I will remove the object. I have a secret location that I put them at and lock it away safely, and it's maintained.
Yeah.
But that happens a lot, actually. And, this year with COVID breaking down, we've actually had a couple cases already, and we got one more coming up Tuesday night, too. So we'll see where that goes. But, we've come to the end of this great show. Boy, what an hour. So, Wolf, this time it looks like it all worked out. We had no spirits from the other side. But we'll have you back on to discuss other things, because there's a lot more to get into in the world of the paranormal, the abnormal, the normal, and how it all links together. That's what the Paranormal Zone's all about. So I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. Thank you, Wolf. Thank you, Melody. And we'll be back in a week.
Thank you.
No problem. We'll be back soon. Melody will still be with us, I believe. So that's going to be some good fun coming up. We have another great guest coming on. And I want to thank all our listeners across the globe, the world, the nation for tuning in. Have a good night, everybody.